Hello, Happy New Year. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed your holidays. We're slowly getting back into traction and into what really matters. And we are welcome back to Wellbeing with Nneka as we take on life-changing topics for your well-being. On today's topic, we'll be discussing subtle red flags that are constantly ignored in relationships. Why am I trying to talk a lot about the relationships this period? Very soon it will be Valentine and a lot of people are still in the wrong relationships. It is already New Year and I don't want people to start off carrying in baggages from a relationship that should have been left with the previous year. So yes, I'm concerned about your well-being, I'm concerned about your mental health, and I'm concerned about your relationships, because if your relationships are not right, then a lot of things will go wrong with you. A lot of people got married after being with someone in a relationship that shouldn't have progressed into marriage, and they are regretting till date. I do not want that for you, which is why I'm taking my time on this channel to educate you on the things you should know about relationships. My name is Nneka, I'm your well-being practitioner, and today we'll be talking about 6 subtle red flags that are constantly ignored in relationships. Number 1, but not the least, I'm not going to say them in any particular order of importance, but randomly. Number 1 is inconsistent communication. Inconsistent communication is not about the frequency or the number of times someone you are in a relationship speaks with you. It is more than the numbers. Inconsistent communication means the person goes from being warm and loving 1 minute to being hostile the next minute, or being totally incommunicado the next minute. It means people making excuses for why they do not want to talk to you, their other partner in a relationship. And then you, who is supposed to be the partner, will make excuses like, oh, they are busy, or the time difference, or, you come up with excuses for them. Inconsistent communication will leave you guessing. It creates anxiety. It will keep you questioning if you're asking for too much in a relationship. Not that you're not. Communication is the basic essence of having any relationship, if you ask me. And any communication that causes you anxiety or self-doubt is not communication. And that means you are in an unhealthy relationship. This particular red flag is most times swept under the carpet with so many excuses. But then you are the one who is in a relationship and you should know what matters to you. Someone who is too busy to talk to you when there are no children, there are no school runs, or there are no joint bills to pay. Imagine what it would be like if you decide to make it permanent. So yes, inconsistent communication is a huge red flag that is constantly swept under the carpet. Inconsistent communication will create doubts about the foundation of the future of a relationship, and no healthy relationship should leave you feeling in doubt of your intentions or the intentions of the person you're in a relationship with. Let us go to the number 2 often ignored red flag in a relationship. The second often ignored subtle red flag in relationship is that your feelings are constantly minimized. You know, when you complain of anything and the response you get is it's not that serious, you're overthinking it, you're too sensitive, that is your partner minimizing or trivializing your feelings. A lot of times we let this slide. A lot of times we start second guessing ourselves and what actually happened. Sometimes we take on blames that are not ours because we are made to feel as if we are being too sensitive or we are overthinking things. The problem is not in whether you're being sensitive or overthinking. The problem is the fact that the person you're complaining to does not validate your worries. No matter how inconsequential it is, your worries are coming from somewhere. They're coming from a valid point of concern, so to say. So if you're angry about something, if you're upset about something, if you're worried about something, and the only response you get is, most times, let me not say the only response, most times you get you're overthinking, you're too sensitive, you nag, my dear, that is a red flag. A healthy relationship should not minimize your worries, should not minimize your feelings. Instead of minimizing your feelings, it can be managed. Oh, I did not see it that way. I did not intend it to come out that way. If you felt this way, that was not my intention. Those are better ways to validate your partner's feelings without really taking responsibility or being falsely accused. What you're validating is their feelings, not the point. So if you invalidate their feelings, what then will you say about the points they are raising? You will trash them in the bin without giving them a chance. So yes, it is a huge red flag that people overlook and eventually grow into something huge that might crash a relationship. It is a clear indicator of an unhealthy relationship. Let us all go now to the number 3 subtle red flag that is often ignored in relationships. The next on the list is lack of accountability. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. But where the problem lies in a relationship is if you or your partner makes mistake and doesn't take responsibility for your mistakes. Or if you apologize and the same thing you apologize for keeps repeating. So lack of accountability is not just about accepting that you were wrong, it's also about changing from that wrong which you have accepted. People who constantly blame the other person for a mistake or deflect from the issue at hand or blame any other thing when there is an issue lack accountability. A lot of times, the person offended or the person on the receiving end is forced to make excuses or accept blames for something they are not responsible for. This red flag is highly ignored. This red flag has made a lot of relationships one-sided, where one person is always right and the other person is always wrong. Are you in this kind of relationship? Are you dealing with this kind of human? Are you this kind of human? You need to change if you have gotten this video or if you have watched to this point. If this is your first time of seeing my channel, please subscribe so that you do not miss any of the beneficial topics we discuss here. The fourth subtle red flag that is usually ignored is when boundaries are treated like rejection. That you're in a relationship does not mean you cannot set your personal boundaries. You want to have your me time. You do not want to be disturbed. You have other engagements. You do not feel like talking. You are sick, you cannot do X, Y, Z, whatsoever. Or you can say, no, I don't do this. No, I do not do that. And then the other person starts to guilt trip you and make you feel like you're doing them a disservice when you're just setting boundaries of things that you would not normally condone. When you're in a relationship with somebody, it does not confer on you the absolute right to trespass on what they call personal boundaries. If these personal boundaries are not acceptable by you, you can take a walk or quit. Because the longer the relationship lasts, the more chaos will be building up to explode at some point. So if your partner is constantly guilt-tripping you because you said no to something or because you did not accept certain things which are not the kind of things you normally take from people, then it is not a healthy relationship. A healthy relationship should allow each one have their own healthy personal boundaries that should not be crossed. Number 5 on the list of red flags that are subtle and always overlooked in relationships is that you are the one always adjusting. You're the one always having to change how you dress, how you speak, how you chew, how you react. You are the one changing constantly. There is compromise and then there is self-erasure. What you are doing at that point is self-erasure. You're losing you. You're losing who you are. You're losing your authenticity. You're losing what makes you you. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that changing something that is not very good in a relationship is a red flag. No. I'm not saying if you have a lot of bad characters that you should not change them all. I am saying that when you are the only one erasing yourself, because at that point it is no longer compromise. If you're the one who is constantly erasing who you are, then you are in a very unhealthy relationship. Like I said earlier, there is compromise and there is self-erasure. Compromise means we meet each other halfway. Compromise means if I do this, I am a better version of myself. Self-erasure means I am completely throwing this away because my partner doesn't think it is right. I am completely burying this part of me because my partner thinks it is not right. So if you are the one who is constantly made to change who you are, who is constantly made to drop what you like, who is constantly alienated from familiar environments or familiar things, then, my dear, you are in an unhealthy relationship. And I am pointing out this red flag to you so that you do not carry it into the new year and you look for where you are accepted. You have to be in a relationship that accepts compromise, that accepts you as your whole or as a whole human. Then you can make changes to bits that are not so good or acceptable or healthy for the relationship. You need to understand the difference between compromise or taking corrections and self-erasure. And please do not accept the latter. Let us go on to the next subtle red flag that is always or most often ignored in relationships. The number 6 red flag that is usually ignored is Support being conditional. This comes in two ways. They are either supporting you only when it is convenient for them, or for them to support you, there's a condition attached to it. Are you in this kind of relationship? It doesn't matter if you're male or female. Like I said, this channel is for everybody's well-being. So if you are in a relationship, when you need support, when you need them to be emotionally available for you, do they attach conditions to it? Do they tell you it is not convenient for them to support you? Or do they just shy away and allow you to deal with whatever is dealing with you? That is a huge red flag. This one in particular is subtle and very much ignored or unnoticed, because sometimes they support and other times they don't. And in such cases, the person who is in need of such support finds it hard to notice that this person only supports me when it is convenient for them or when it is beneficial to them in one way or the other. If you watch this video, sit down and analyze your situation. Are you being supported conditionally? Are you being supported only when it is convenient? The last of the 7 subtle red flags that we ignore in relationships is feeling lonely when you're with someone. You know, you guys talk, you don't quarrel, but you feel lonely, you feel unheard, you feel unseen. You tiptoe, you walk on eggshells, but there's no visible problem. That is a red flag. It is dangerous because it is not seen. There's no obvious problem. There's no obvious quarrel, but you feel alone. You feel misunderstood. You feel... I'm trying to get the exact word, but I'm sure by this time you understand what I mean. You're in a relationship, but you're lonely. You're not alone, but you're lonely. Is that how you want to carry on for the rest of the year? Is that what you want to bring into a marital situation? That is a very major red flag that you need to address or walk away from. We have addressed 7 subtle, mostly ignored red flags in a relationship. And if you have watched to this point, I am sure by now you will be analyzing your marriage or your relationship and deciding to do better for yourself. Yes, you need to be selfish for your own mental health. I want you to understand that noting red flags doesn't mean you're troublesome. It doesn't mean you do not want peace. It means you want a peace that lasts, a peace you can hold on to, and a relationship that is healthy. So don't beat yourself up if any of these 7 red flags resonate with you or with how you are treated in your relationship. It is all for the better and for you to make better decisions this New Year and before Valentine's Day. My name remains Nneka, your well-being practitioner, and my job is to make sure you live a fulfilled and healthy life. See you next time on the next episode here on Wellbeing with Nneka. Bye.